Hello, welcome to another Be Sound solo podcast. Today's Friday, July 16th, 2021. And welcome. There is quite a few things I'd like to talk about today. The thing is, I'm not sure the best way to go about it. Mainly because it's been just a hell of a week for me. And what I mean by that is challenging. And I don't mind a good challenge. I think that things that are challenging help us grow. And while you're in the challenge, it feels difficult. And that's where I'm still at right now, is within the challenge, trying to get through it. It's not awful. It's uncomfortable for sure, but it's not unbearable. I'd like to think that that has to do with how I've forced myself to deal with a lot of discomfort, unpurposely leaning into things that are uncomfortable, so that when something like this comes along, I'm able to handle it a lot better, knowing I'll come out on the other side better for it. So like things that I lean into that are uncomfortable daily, one would be exercise, right? Nobody wants to go and exercise. I mean, maybe there are people who really love it and get off on it, but generally you don't wake up and go, gosh, I can't wait to go exercise today. No, it's something that you're like, all right, I got to go do this. I'll get it done. And then I'll feel better for it. And you always do. I mean, 99% of the time I feel way better having exercise than if I didn't, which hasn't happened in a long time, by the way. I've made it such a routine that that's what it is, a routine. Something I don't ever skip. So that being said, when you're in a situation like I am, which there isn't any one giant thing that's really uncomfortable right now. What I'm going through is a series of challenges that are kind of minor, but that the way that they're coming about, they are piling on top of one another. And what I'm coming up against is challenges in just about every world I have, right? I have financial challenges happening, which I hope to see the light at the end of the tunnel on that sometime soon. And finances, those are just like temporary problems. As long as you have the wherewithal to keep pushing ahead, there is money to be had. There is ways to solve your issues, as long as you want to keep playing that game, of course. And then we come to physical things. I'm having some issues with physicalities of my body, and that's not anything unexpected for someone of my age. These are things that I've been dealing with for my life anyway, and they're nothing that I can't get over right now. I work on it, I build on it, it gets better, and it's not that bad. It's something I can deal with. I can still walk and talk, and I have my health for the most part, and that is what I'm going to focus on. And then there's like emotional, spiritual things that happen. You know, like I'm dealing with, for one example, my dog, right? The dog I have is rapidly declining in health, or so it seems. I mean, it's not to the point where we are going to have to put him down or anything, but I just left the vet today and it was turmoil there. I mean, he's just got so much wrong with him right now, but he obviously still has a very much will to live, because he hated it there. He wanted out big time. He was just ready to leave as soon as we got there. I can't think of another way to test if something has the will to live than for it to go someplace it doesn't want to be and let you know straight for an hour. It still is difficult, though, to deal with his myriad of problems. But that's what we do for those we love, right? We help them deal with their problems and get through. And then there's like relationship issues I'm having, which I won't get into here, but essentially that's just another thing on top of all this. You know, and it comes down to this this idea of, there's a Flaming Lips song called The Fight Test. And that song is interesting because normally they say, hey, walk away from a fight. You know, you're going to be better off, and those who walk away live to fight again another day. But this song kind of challenges that notion and says there are times where you should fight. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. The more I think about it, that's kind of the whole nature of evolution and life on this planet, is those creatures who fight for the things that they want and need are the ones who advance evolutionary. So I started thinking, what is it that keeps me so docile most of the time? And I think it's this realization I came to a while back when I was younger, in my teenage years. I think the best way to kind of let you know where I'm coming from there is to tell this story of what happened, like a fight that I was in where I almost killed somebody. So the story goes like this. At one point, during my teenage years, I'd gotten a brand new bicycle. And I got a padlock and I locked that thing up. There was a bike rack outside of this apartment complex I lived in. And I had the bike for maybe 2 weeks. And one day I go outside, the lock is gone and the bike is gone. They somehow got into my combination and stole the bike. Well, about a week or so later, I see one of the neighbors who was about the same age as me, maybe a little bit older, out riding a bike that looked just like mine, only it was painted different. And this was a home paint job. So I had like a red bike, and all of a sudden the same bike frame and everything, but totally black frame bike was being ridden by this kid. So I confronted him about it and said, hey, I think you might have gotten that bike from me. Where did you get that bike? And he was like, oh, I bought this. I got it from a friend. I bought it. Don't worry about it. So at first I was like, all right, I'll let that go. Eventually, I just couldn't let it go. And I saw it parked over in the same bike area that I had left mine when it got stolen. And I noticed it had a padlock on it, the same combination padlock that I had. And I go over and I'm like, let me just try this padlock. And I put the same exact number in of combination that my lock had, and it opens right up. And I'm like, is there any more evidence that this could possibly be my bike? So I immediately went up to my neighbor's house, knocked on the door, and told his parents about it and said, this is what I found. What do you think? And it turns out, yeah, he had said he had bought this bike and didn't like the color and spray painted it and was riding it around. So he totally stole it from me. They gave me the bike back, and this kid got in big trouble, from my understanding. I hadn't seen him for a long time. So one day, I'm outside hanging out with a few friends. And, we're just out there talking, having fun, exchanging ideas. We used to be really into science and things like that, and we would talk about basically a bunch of nerdy things, just minding our own business peacefully. And we're talking and doing our thing, and I feel a tap on my shoulder. So I turn around, and all of a sudden, bam, fist in my face, just punched me square right in the nose. And I am just like stunned, and there's blood dripping all over my face, and I'm just like, what just happened? I look up, and there's that kid who took my bicycle, and I wasn't sure what to do, just stunned and bleeding, and like, what is happening here? And my friends are like, Dan, what are you going to do? What are you doing? And they kind of, well, I guess I thought at the time they were encouraging me to go and fight this guy. So I got mad, and I started going like, yeah. And then the guy like saw me, this like, I must have had like this crazy look in my eye, because apparently I still get this look, but he started to run. He took off like a bat out of hell, and I chased him. I was absolutely going to catch him. And even though I wasn't sure what I was going to do if I caught him, I just knew I had to catch him. So I was running after this kid as fast as I could, and he was running for his life. Well, at our apartment complex we were in, it was 4 floors. And so he lived on maybe the 3rd or 4th floor. I know I lived on the 2nd. And he started running up this stairwell. And the stairs there were made of sheet metal, basically. It was like a hard, maybe iron or something. But they were exposed metal, probably iron, stairs. And I finally caught up to him on the stairwell and grabbed him. And then I grabbed his head and I just started bashing it into the stairs. I think I bashed it once or twice, and I saw some blood start to come out. And I know I was bleeding too. I was bleeding on this kid from my nose. And at that point, instead of feeling anger, I recoiled a bit. And this is where I think I was maybe given one of the biggest gifts of my life. And this was the realization that I was dangerous and I was capable of killing somebody. Because up until then, I think I was fairly innocent and thought the outside world could hurt me. And this didn't stop me from thinking the outside world could hurt me. But it was the first time I actually considered the fact that I was just as capable of hurting other things as they were hurting me. And this like really threw me. I let the kid go. I just let him go because I thought, holy crap, if I did this a few more times, if I just bashed his head a few more times in this fit of rage, he could die. And who knows, maybe I gave him brain damage. I actually don't remember ever seeing the kid after that again. He pretty much left me alone. But when I let him go, I sat there with it, and it really destroyed me. And I repressed this for a long time. I repressed any kind of confrontation for a really long time. There was even a point where in high school, I got into a street fight with this kid. This kid came up to me and wanted to fight me in front of a bunch of other kids. I was so scared that I was going to hurt him or kill him that I just took the punches. And people were like, why aren't you punching back? And he was having a great time. He was just punching me in the face, and I'd take it. And I wouldn't take a swing. I just was like too scared that I was going to kill him. So if you can imagine that, someone is beating on you and you're just taking it because what are you going to do? Kill the person? Because you might if you get in a fit of rage, there might not be any stopping you. And that's what I was thinking. This led me to like not getting to any kind of confrontations for a long time. Because, you know, that confrontation, what if that leads into me killing somebody? And I was afraid of losing control. So why do I think this is a gift? Well, I do think it helped me in a lot of areas as far as understanding how to control my anger and learn how to deal with things in a way that's a little more passive. And the secret here is eventually I learned to integrate that monster, right? That inner monster, that anger. If you understand it and you understand that you're capable of killing and you can really fuck somebody up, then you can take out that card anytime you need to. You can use it as a bit of bravery if you want. It's a tool. And to have the skills to use it and the skills to use your cognitive process. Well, if you have brains and brawn and heart, isn't that pretty much the ultimate combination? So essentially, if you can control that inner monster inside and only use it when you need to, because, you know, you don't want to harm others. If anything, it's just used to protect yourself. And, you know, maybe you can use it to elevate yourself in situations where things might seem a bit scary or, you know, you feel anxious. You can think, well, you know what? I do have this monster in me that can come out at any time I need it to and have its day, and I can get over this thing easy. A cold-blooded killer can get over getting up on stage and speaking to a few people. Not that I ever did that. Not that I ever thought, hey, I'm a cold-blooded killer. I'll get out there and talk to a few people. That came through other means, being able to get on stage and perform. That wasn't because I had the monster, but maybe it was. Maybe in some subconscious way it was. My point being, these fights that we get into, they're okay. Integrate the monster, integrate the hard things that we have to go through, because that is fully you. So these challenges that I'm going through this week, those are things that I have to get through in order to become the full me and do the things that I need to do later on in life, which may be in the next 5 minutes, because we have no idea what life is going to throw at us next. But the more you're prepped for it, and the more you're willing to pull out the monster or the brains, whatever is needed in this situation, the better you're going to do. So if anything, I guess the takeaway today is love yourself, love your monster, love your problems, and love your solutions. So with that being said, thanks for being here on this Friday. We've got a new B-Sound podcast with guest Josh Terry coming up this Tuesday, and that's a great one. Josh is full of amazing insights. He's a musician, basically a TikTok sensation with about 1 million followers, and he gives really good advice, and it was a really good talk to have with him. So I highly recommend you catch that episode coming up on Tuesday. Again, you can watch that here, or it's going to be streaming on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all the places of the podcast. So until I see you next time, I appreciate you very much. Love you, and be sound.